Hey, I am Randy Lee. I'm the host of the Flipping Genius podcast, and welcome to episode 166. I thought I'd reintroduce the podcast just in case this is your first time here. Like I said, my name's Randy Lee. I'm the host of the show. I am a long-time, lifetime entrepreneur. Been involved in cars, real estate, advertising, insurance, financial products, publishing, retail, entertainment, and probably some other things I forgot. I've flipped cars since I was really old enough to drive a car. I became a licensed car dealer in the great state of Alabama about 15 years ago. And really, that happened by accident. That's a whole nother story, though. Uh, Along the way, I have recognized that flipping houses is a very hot topic, and that cars can be done just like houses, and usually for a lot less capital in less time, and oftentimes with less skill, like yours truly. I started the Flipping Genius podcast, which is what you're listening to or watching right now. In fact, this is the 166th episode, like I said, of the podcast, and over 100 of them have also been recorded in video in our massive library of videos on the Flipping Genius YouTube channel. So lots of good content out there that can help you buy and sell cars for a significant profit. And the number one goal of the Flipping Genius is to help you, our listeners and viewers, make more money. And I do that by sharing my story about my process, about specific vehicles, and anything else I do that I think can help you make more money. I also have conversations with other car flippers and car dealers and other specialists that can help, where we talk about what they know and what they do that could help you too. Uh, Today, I thought I'd go over some of the vehicles, revisit some of the vehicles that I've mentioned in the past few episodes, and catch you up to where we're at with them, what we've done with them, what we did with them, and kind of complete the loop on those, and offer some full disclosure to you too, so you know exactly what the end of the story was. If we've reached the end, we haven't reached the end on all of them, I guess, most of them. And I want to invite your questions and your comments and your suggestions. You can write me, of course, flippingquestions@gmail.com, or find me on the Car Flipping Forum. If you don't know about that, there's links to both those things in the show notes here. You can go to flippinggenius.com. It's flippinggenius.com, only one G, and you'll find links to everything there. I'm going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about first those three cars that we bought, those three vehicles we bought one day back in episode 161, and we'll find out where exactly we're at with all those. Okay, we're back. I'd mentioned in back in episode 161, I mentioned that in one day I bought three vehicles at the insurance auto auction. That's relatively unusual for me, so I mentioned it that for that reason, because I'm a one guy at one car, one vehicle at a time sort of guy most of the time, and usually don't have more than 5 or 6 vehicles working at any given time. I have had more in the past, but most of the time it's less. So three in one day was kind of a big deal. The other thing was a big deal. It was only $1,800 that I paid for the three at insurance auto auction, which we've talked about in the past some, and we've got more information about that too. And in the following weeks, I mentioned either on the podcast or in separate YouTube videos, I think 4 other vehicles. So today we're going to walk through my experiences briefly with all 7 of those. For first one, let's go to the first one first, a 2003 Lincoln LS. We talked about this one back in episode 162. I flipped this one in a total of 16 days and cleared a profit of $2,046. $2,046. So the details on this one are spelled out in that podcast 162, or on the video podcast of the same number on our YouTube channel. You can find it wherever you're hearing this, and be sure to subscribe. By the way, you can go right to it that way on our YouTube channel. If you're a subscriber, you won't miss anything. So that was a good win real fast. Most of the time was spent on hauling it over to the mechanic, getting it back from the mechanic, and having the mechanic, Dennis Johnson, do the repairs. Once we had it, very first guy that looked at it bought it, and I think for a reasonable price, and it was a good profit for us. The second one, this is my first time really talking about it to any extent, was the 2008 Hyundai Ascent, a little two-door hatchback, 5-speed manual transmission. I thought when I pulled it out that it was almost one I was just going to be able to wash and clean and sell. Unfortunately, it didn't work out that way. And they do. I have had a lot of them that way, and over the years you've probably seen me talk about them. But this one turned out it needed a new clutch. It also needed a new door handle and a new mirror, which are not expensive. But all in all, we had just over $2,500 into that vehicle by the time we were done. And somebody has bought it even before it was cleaned up for about a $600 profit, a little over $600 more than we paid for it. So that's just a 25% profit on that one, but it wound up costing a lot more to repair than anticipated, and honestly, it was a little rougher than I thought when I first looked at it. But a win's a win, right? So 2 for 2 on those first two. The third one was actually the one I was the most excited about to begin with, a 2005 Honda Pilot. I was excited about it because it looked good, and it's a Honda. It had a high miles, but that doesn't really matter to me very much. Not if it's a Honda, and it was solid. However, even though it looked the best, it wound up needing both engine and transmission repair. In numerous past episodes, I've talked about the benefits of belonging to business-to-business barter groups. And when the guys at Dennis Johnson Auto Repair, my mechanics, when Gary basically told me that I needed to sell this Honda as is, I turned to my barter partners first. I wound up selling the Honda to another flipper, and I agreed to pay for transport costs a couple hundred miles from here. And the buyer will he'll have the vehicle repaired using barter money. This is, if you don't understand any of this, you can write to me. I'll be happy to explain it. Or you can listen to some of our past episodes where I do discuss it, and we could talk about it on the car flipping forum too if you want to. But the buyer will have he'll have repaired it, and he'll probably with barter dollars again, and then he'll sell it for cash and recoup most of his costs, maybe all of his costs, and turn barter dollars into cash, which is his goal, and that'll make it a win for him. I managed to net almost a $3,000 profit on this one vehicle after all my expenses, and that money will pay for well over half of the costs of an upcoming vacation trip that my family and I have planned for later this year. Or I can apply it to a variety of things. I use barter for everything from household repairs to travel expenses to entertainment and dining to my clothing, most of my clothing, and advertising for the business. Almost anything you can think of, I use barter just like you use cash. So very good outcome for that one. So really 3 for 3 on the first 3. I'm going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll talk about the other 4 that I mentioned. Okay. I mentioned 4 other vehicles over the last few weeks, and I want to talk about those. The first one I'll talk about is a 2008 Kia van. I don't think that I probably mentioned it on the podcast, but I didn't show it during the podcast. But we did do a couple videos about that and a video series that we're working on, and we probably got a wrap-up video that we need to do on that. Although it may wind up being a 4 or 5 series video campaign, and I'll tell you why. But I mentioned the '08 Kia Sedona the first time when I did a video where I blew I blew out a tire while I was towing it. And if you haven't seen my video about paying the stupid tax, you'll likely be amused by it. You can take pleasure in my pain. But even after that, even after buying new tires and the battery and paying Gary and the guys at Dennis Johnson's to do a couple $100 worth of small fixes for me and cleaning it all up, I was able to generate 141% return on investment on this one. So a nice win on that vehicle, and an exciting situation that I look forward to sharing more information with you probably down the road on this one. The bonus on this one is that, and this may sound a little bit crazy, but the bonus on this one is I've also agreed to buy it back at the end of 2 months, less my fee. And assuming all goes as planned, and we've had it pretty well checked over, so I feel pretty good about what it's supposed to do. I should be able to sell it again and net at least another $1,000 in my pocket at the end of that little rainbow there. And a double bonus on this one is that, by thinking outside the box, I was able to help a family who's just visiting our country for a couple months and needed reliable, economical transportation with exactly that. I will not at all be surprised if after this transaction, it leads to more similar transactions like it down the road, which is really exciting. And if you're interested in further details about how I structured and completed this deal, just write to me at flippingquestions@gmail.com, or contact me at the Flipping Genius Car Flippers Forum. And you'll see, like I said before, you'll see links to both of these in our show notes, wherever you're listening or watching this podcast. And or you can always just go to Flipping Genius, FLIPPINGENIUS.com, just one G, and all the links, everything's there. So you'll be able to see it there. Now, so that's 4. There's 3 other vehicles I wanted to talk about quick about what has happened or what is happening with those. The others that I mentioned were first a 2003 Toyota Avalon. I believe I brought that one up. I don't know if we've seen it. I think originally the plan was probably to do a whole episode on the Toyota. I think in back of my mind, I thought this one's going to flip in about 2 days, and it would be a fun story. But it took a little longer, and sometimes they do. This one should sell finally in the next couple days, and it will net almost $1,200 for me, which is about a 57% return on investment. And that's a little bit below my average, but exciting. A good flip and a good vehicle and a good deal to the folks that are buying it. Sometimes I'll come off my price pretty significantly just because I think it's the right vehicle for the right buyer. So that's kind of what that one is. I also bought a 2006 Chevy Trailblazer. That's a long story. I can't remember how much I share with it. I bought that when my brother was in town, and the main reason I bought that thing is because it had a Wisconsin Badger sticker stuck on the back of it, and I thought, oh, this is like a sign from God. As most of you have heard me talk about the Wisconsin Badgers, or even seen me do a podcast from the locker room or the football office, not really, but it looked like it. And crazy on my part to make that decision, but The vehicle really runs great. It looked really good, but it's got some transmission issues. They're not as big an issue as I thought they were, so we're kind of in limbo there. I'm not sure where that one's going to go, but I think it just might turn out being all right. About it seems like it may be exactly what this other dealer friend of mine is needing, and it could turn out that I get a good trade for it, and it winds up, at least being a break even, if not better. There's something there. Very, very good mechanically, other than it doesn't want to shift gears between like second and third properly. It kind of reminds me of an old Honda, and this may be very common for Trailblazers. That's kind of what has been indicated, but we'll see. We'll see where we go with that one. So that one's still up in the air. And probably the my favorite one of all of them, although it's hard to beat a couple of those earlier ones, is a 2015 Kia Soul that I picked up as a result of a referral by my constantly telling everyone I know that I buy cars, either with a business card or just with my mouth or at the grocery store. Hey, I buy cars. Do you got a car for sale? Give them a business card that says Randy buys cars. Have a website that says that. I've got signs all over town. I got cars written on the side of my car. I buy cars. Well, I got this one from a friend of mine that's in my men's Bible study that I go to every week, and he told his friend who said that she had a problematic car to sell. He said, "Call Randy," and he buys cars for some reason. And when I talked to her, the seller, she said, "Yeah, he didn't know why you bought cars. He just said you buy cars, so said to call you." And that's kind of funny. He really didn't understand. I don't try to sell real hard during the Bible study, of course, but I do mention that that I do buy cars. So that was good work on his part and on my part. And anyway, I got this one from the original family that owned it, a 2015 Kia Soul with low miles. And I got it for just $1,300. And since it was a one-on-one buy, there's no auction fees, which is great. And it cost $400 to replace the catalytic converter. I think I got a little bit more money into it, less than $2,000 total into it. I don't have that number in front of me, but I know catalytic converter cost $400 cash, and that was the main problem that was causing problems with it. And I actually kind of diagnosed it while I took a test drive. I was proud of myself for recognizing that, and I was right. I'm not always right, so I think I am, but with cars I rarely am. That's why I got the guys. Now that car is worth right now about $8,500. I guess that could be disputed. I don't know if I would sell. It's got a clear title. It's a really good looking vehicle. I think cleaned up, $8,500. But better than that, my sweet bride has a new car, and we have a new ride that we can trust to take on trips to the beach or the lake or other places. And we can save that car rental money that I use frequently when I go more than, say, 3 hours away, because I don't trust my vehicle with 360,000 miles to go that far. So that was a real win. Now I don't know how long we'll keep it. You never know in this business when something else will come along. I often want to keep a vehicle, but this one that really makes sense. It's a size vehicle that we like, and it's exciting. But now I got to decide what we will do with one of our two Suzuki Grand Vitaras. You've probably heard me brag about them, especially mine that, like I said, has 360,000 miles on it. I don't want to drive it to the beach, but it would probably make it there and back fine. Everything works on that thing, but who's going to want to buy that from you, honestly? So, probably make more sense just to add another garage, which we maybe do. I don't know if you have to keep a car with 360,000 miles in a garage, but it sure seems like it ought to be in a garage. She's a good old girl. So that brings us to the end, brings you up to date on the ones that I've told you about. And I looking back, I've noticed I've got a lot of notes about other flips, and these have all been accumulated to share in a book that I've been working on for years. And I think that we may use some more of those in upcoming episodes, and I'd like to get those in your hands, get you those in your eyes, so you can see those too. Because I think anything that I do like that can be beneficial to share with you, and that's really what I want to do. I want to tell you about what we're doing and why it worked, why it didn't work. And of course, I can't tell you about everything. I come pretty close though. Hey, thanks for watching the Flipping Genius podcast. Please reach out to me at flippingquestions@gmail.com. Tell me anything that you want to share with me. If there are suggestions you'd like to make, recommendations or requests you'd like to make. If you would like to come on the podcast and share a story you have or your total story, love to do that. We could do it either audio or video, preferably video. We usually do it by Zoom, so you don't have to travel any place. We just come, boom, right to your place and knock it out. Usually knock those things out in less than a half hour. And I'd love to have you or somebody that you would like to see on the podcast. Just let me know. You can write me at flippingquestions@gmail.com. You can find me directly from the website flippinggenius.com. Or you can go to the Car Flipping Forum. You can find links to all these things, of course, right in the show notes, wherever you are watching or listening to this episode right now. And hey, let's work together. Let's make some money. Let's all become flipping geniuses.